They wore badges. They carried radios. They called themselves security. But they weren't cops. They were HOA enforcers, drunk on power, fueled by arrogance, and backed by nothing but fake authority. And when they targeted Derrick Coleman, a black man just trying to get home, they thought they'd found an easy victim. What they didn't know, Derrick wasn't just another homeowner. He was military. And when the truth came out, the entire neighborhood would erupt in shock. Friday night, quiet suburban street. Derrick pulled his car into the driveway. Engine still warm. Music low. He just finished a long day at work. All he wanted was a shower, dinner, and peace. But peace wasn't in the HOA's vocabulary. As Derrick stepped out, two men approached. Black uniforms. Shiny badges. Utility belts with flashlights and batons. HOA security. One barked, "You can't park here." Derrick frowned. "This is my driveway." They didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter. You're in violation." Violation? For parking his own space? That was the moment Derrick knew. This wasn't about rules. It was about him. Derrick tried to walk past. One guard stepped in front of him. "Where's your ID?" Derrick laughed. "My ID? To walk into my own house." The man's jaw tightened. "You're being non-compliant." Non-compliant. The word echoed, like Derrick was a criminal, like his existence required permission. Then, without warning, the guard shoved him. Hard. Derrick stumbled back. "Touch me again," he warned. The guard smirked. "Or what?" Before Derrick could answer, the second guard swung. A fist, straight to his jaw. Derrick hit the pavement. Stars exploding behind his eyes. Boots rained down. Kicks to his ribs, his arms, his back. Neighbors peeked from windows. Phones recorded. But nobody stepped in. Because in that moment, it looked like law enforcement doing its job. But it wasn't. It was two men in fake uniforms. And they had no idea who they were beating. Derrick Coleman, age 35. Former U.S. Army sergeant. Tours in Afghanistan. Trained in close combat. Disciplined in endurance. He'd been patient. Calm. Controlled. But patience has limits. As another kick came down, Derrick grabbed the guard's ankle. Twisted. Pulled. The man fell hard onto concrete. Derrick rolled to his feet. Blood on his lip. Fire in his eyes. And for the first time, the guards realized they weren't in control. The second guard swung again. Derrick ducked. His fist connected with the man's ribs. A sickening crack. The guard gasped for air, stumbling back. The first tried to rise. Derrick pinned him with a knee to the chest. "Who sent you?" he growled. The man's eyes darted. Fear replacing arrogance. And in that silence, neighbors who'd been filming realized the truth. These weren't cops. These weren't deputies. They were imposters. And Derrick wasn't a victim. He was a soldier defending himself. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flickered. This time, real police. They rushed in, weapons drawn. "Hands up!" Derrick froze. Bloodied, battered, kneeling on top of a groaning guard. Neighbors shouted. He was attacked. They jumped him. They're not real cops. Confusion spread. The uniforms looked official. The badges looked real. But a closer look revealed cheap metal. Plastic lettering. Counterfeit authority. The truth unraveled in seconds. The HOA president arrived on the scene. Red face. Expensive suit. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "These are our security officers." But the police weren't buying it. "Licensed?" one officer asked. "Certified?" Silence. The HOA president stammered. They're contractors. But records showed no contracts. No licenses. No authority. Just two men the HOA hired to intimidate homeowners. And now, those men lay broken on the pavement, exposed by the very man they tried to crush. Derrick was taken to the station for questioning, his ribs bruised, his knuckles raw. But the real twist came hours later, when investigators pulled footage from the guards' body cams. Yes, body cams. Cheap, off-brand, but still recording. And what they captured was damning. Racist slurs, Talk of making an example out of Derrick. Plans to plant evidence in his car. The guards hadn't just attacked him. They'd planned to ruin him. News spread fast. Fake HOA cops attack black veteran. Neighborhood security scheme exposed. The community erupted. Some defended the HOA. Others demanded resignations. But Derrick? He sat in silence. Haunted, because the attack wasn't random. It was targeted, deliberate, and deep down he knew the guard were pawns. Someone higher had given the order. Dear viewers, this is where the story fractures. Because just when Derrick thought the worst was over, a new revelation emerged. Those fake cops weren't acting alone. They were part of a larger network, one that reached beyond the HOA, beyond the neighborhood, into City Hall. And when Derrick opened his front door days later, a letter waited on his porch. For words, written in bold black ink. This isn't over. Derrick stood at his porch. The letter sat there, bold, heavy. His fist tightened. Every rib still ached from the beating, but his mind hurt worse. Who left it? The guards? The HOA? Or someone higher? Police questioned Derrick again. They wanted details. But something felt off. Their tone wasn't supportive. It was suspicious. Did you provoke them? One asked. Were you resisting? Another added. Derrick's jaw clenched. He'd heard these questions before, aimed at men like him. But this time there was evidence. Body cam footage. Witness videos. It should have cleared him. But for some reason, it didn't. HOA President Charles Whitmore called a community meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, puffing his chest. We regret what happened, but Mr. Coleman escalated the situation. Gasps rippled. How dare he twist the story? Whitmore continued. Our officers were only doing their job, protecting property values, maintaining order. Derrick stood at the back, shaking his head. Order? By beating him bloody? This wasn't order. It was oppression. Within days, flyers appeared around the neighborhood. Unstable veteran, aggressive neighbor, dangerous presence. Photos of Derrick, bruised, bloodied, were plastered under the words. As if he was a threat. He knew exactly who did it. Charles Whitmore. The HOA wasn't backing down. They were doubling down. Late one night, Derrick's phone buzzed. An unknown number. A whispering voice said, You don't know me, but I work for Whitmore, and he's hiding something. Derrick froze. Who are you? Call me Daniel. Meet me at the diner on 5th Street. Midnight. Don't bring anyone. Click. The line went dead. Derrick sat in the booth. Coffee untouched. Eyes scanning the door. A man slid into the seat across from him. Thin. Pale. Hood pulled low. Whitmore's been laundering money through the HOA. Daniel whispered. Those guards weren't hired for security. They were hired to intimidate. Why me? Derrick asked. Because you spoke up. Because you didn't play their game. And now they want you gone. Daniel handed him a flash drive. Everything you need is here. Contracts. Transfers. Proof. Then he left. The next morning, Derrick woke to sirens. Thick smoke billowed 2 streets over. The HOA office was in flames. Files. Computers. Records. All gone. An accident. The fire marshal called it. But Derrick knew it was no accident. It was a purge. Later that day, 2 officers came to Derrick's door. Mr. Coleman, you're under investigation. His eyes widened. For what? Assault, property damage, possible arson. They cuffed him in front of his neighbors, paraded him down the street. Cameras rolled. Whitmore watched from his porch, smirking. Hours in a cold room, fluorescent lights buzzing. Detectives leaned in. You've got a history of violence, don't you? You served overseas. Maybe you brought a home with you. Derrick stayed silent. He knew the tactic. Break him. Frame him. But he also knew something else. The flash drive was still safe. Hidden in his jacket before the arrest. A week later, a journalist knocked on his door. Angela Ramirez, local reporter, known for digging where others wouldn't. I heard what happened, she said, and I think the HOA is covering something. If you talk, I'll publish the truth. Derrick hesitated. Could he trust her? But what choice did he have? He handed her the flash drive. If anything happens to me, make sure this gets out. The next night, Angela Ramirez vanished. Her car found abandoned. Phone smashed. No trace of her. Derrick's stomach dropped. The message was clear. No one was safe. Daniel reappeared. This time, frantic. They know I talked to you. They're watching me. Who's watching? Derrick asked. Daniel's eyes darted. Not just Whitmore. City Hall. Police. They're all in on it. Before Derrick could respond, headlights flooded the alley. A black SUV screeched to a stop. Men in suits jumped out. Daniel shoved Derrick. Run. And then shots rang out. Derrick sprinted. Feet pounding. Heart racing. Bullets whizzed past. Glass shattered. He dove behind a dumpster, gasping. When he looked back, Daniel was gone. Lying still. Blood spreading. Another ally erased. Back home, Derrick found another envelope on his porch. Inside, a single photo. Angela Ramirez, tied to a chair, eyes wide with terror. On the back, 4 words. Drop it or she dies. Dear viewers, this is no longer a story about fake cops. This is a story about corruption. About how far those in power will go to silence the truth. Derrick thought he was fighting an HOA, but now he was up against something much bigger. And the next move he made could decide not just his fate, but hers. Derrick sat in silence. The photo of Angela Ramirez shook in his hands. Every muscle in his body screamed to act. But against who? The HOA? The city? The cops? The walls were closing in. Every step he took, someone was watching. This wasn't a neighborhood dispute anymore. It was war. The next day, Derrick received a call. A distorted voice, calm and deliberate. If you want her alive, bring the drive. Where? Derrick asked. Warehouse. Midnight. Come alone. Click. The line went dead. Derrick opened his closet. Inside, his old military duffel bag. He hadn't touched it in years. But tonight, he had no choice. Combat boots. Utility knife. Body armor. Not to kill, but to survive. Midnight. The warehouse loomed on the edge of town. Derrick slipped inside. Dark. Dusty. Smelling of rust and oil. In the center, Angela. Bound to a chair. Gagged. And standing behind her, Charles Whitmore. Whitmore's smug grin glowed in the dim light. I told you to drop it, he said. But you couldn't. Military men never know when to quit. Derrick's jaw tightened. Let her go. Whitmore chuckled. You think you're the hero? You're just a pawn. Always were. He stepped closer. The guards? Just tools. The cops? Bought and paid for. The council? In my pocket. And you? You're the distraction that keeps everyone from looking at me. Derrick's chest burned with rage. He'd been fighting shadows. But the real monster stood right here. From the darkness, men in black suits emerged. 5, 6, maybe more. Derrick gripped a chair leg he'd broken loose earlier. His training kicked in. The first man lunged. Derrick swung, would cracked against skull. Another grabbed his arm. Derrick twisted, elbowed, dropped him. Fists, boots, chaos. His body screamed. But adrenaline carried him. Until finally, it was just Whitmore left. Whitmore raised a pistol. Hands shaking, but smirk still plastered. You think you win by fighting? This town runs because of me. Without me, it crumbles. Derrick stared him down. You don't run this town. Fear does. And with one swift motion, Derrick knocked the gun aside and drove his fist into Whitmore's jaw. The HOA president crumpled to the floor. Derrick rushed to Angela. Cut the ropes. Her eyes filled with tears. You shouldn't have come. Neither should you, he muttered. They staggered out into the night. Sirens wailed in the distance. This time, real cops. But when the police arrived, something felt wrong. They didn't rush to cuff Whitmore. They didn't check Angela. Instead, they turned to Derrick. Hands behind your back. What? Derrick shouted. He kidnapped her. The officer's eyes were cold. "Drop the weapon, Coleman. You're under arrest." Angela gasped. There with him, from the shadows, Whitmore rose, blood on his lip, but grinning. "You see, Derrick? Heroes don't win. Systems do." The officers dragged Derrick down. Whitmore dusted off his suit. "Take him away." But then, flashing cameras. Reporters swarmed. News vans screeched to a halt. Angela had sent one final message before being kidnapped. Coordinates, time, place, and now. The whole city watched as Derrick was dragged out of the warehouse. Whitmore shouting orders. Cops obeying. It was live. It was undeniable. It was over. Within days, Whitmore's empire collapsed. City Hall scrambled. Officials resigned. Investigations launched. The fake cops? Convicted. The officers who helped him? Fired. Whitmore himself, facing charges that could bury him for life. But for Derrick, victory wasn't sweet. Angela carried scars. Daniel was gone. His own reputation, dragged to the mud before it was cleared. And every time he closed his eyes, he saw boots, fists, the letter. This isn't over. Dear viewers, this story doesn't end neatly. Because the truth is, corruption rarely dies. It hides. It waits. It returns. Derrick fought back. He exposed them. But the scars remain. The real lesson? Sometimes the enemy isn't just outside your door. Sometimes it's the system holding the keys. So I'll ask you this. If you were Derrick Coleman, beaten, framed, betrayed, would you still fight back, knowing the system might break you before it ever bends?